Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Global Mindfulness in Education Summit. Today, I'm really excited to introduce you to our guest, Anna Kaminski. She's currently living in the United Arab Emirates in Abu Dhabi. So, my name is Helen Maffini. I'm one of the co hosts of this year's summit. I am the founder of MindBE Education and the co-author of the book Developing Children's Emotional Intelligence. My co-host, Dr. Chris Willard, is the author of many books, including one of my favorite for young children, Alpha Breaths. He's a international speaker and brings mindfulness teaching to people around the world. So welcome to the summit. Anna's website is called livingherenow.org. I will have all her details in the speaker link below. But she is going to talk to us today a little bit about what is happening in the United Arab Emirates and specifically in her school in terms of mindfulness. She has written several books. Mrs. K Begins Again and I Think I Can't Sleep, which are very interesting. And so without further ado, I would like to welcome her to the summit.
Thank you for having me on this awesome summit. I really look forward to telling you about what we do in the UAE when it comes to mindfulness.
So just to start off, Anna, can you first tell us what was maybe your first experience with mindfulness, or how did you get into that field, maybe even before we heard that word or before you had heard that word?
I actually happen to have quite a vivid memory of cloud watching, of just lying outside on a blanket or something, on the grass maybe even, and just watching the clouds go by. I think many kids naturally are quite mindful and do things with full presence, even though they've never been taught to. Obviously, we know we lose this ability. As adults, it does not come as naturally. We tend to live in our heads a little bit more.
So what traditions does the UAE culture have of something like mindfulness? Is there some kind of cultural aspect that you think links to mindfulness?
A while back, I attended a meeting that was organized by a local lady, and the meeting was to be about mental health issues, especially depression. And there was a number of her family members and her community members. So it was mostly an Emirati gathering. And we chatted a little bit about depression, and we spoke about mindfulness in the context of depression, and generally preventing mental health issues and kind of staying well, and those kind of things. So we had a lovely discussion. It was a few years back. So I have to admit I was a little bit surprised with how openly people were willing to discuss mental health issues. The Emirati society is a traditional society. Like many others, mental health challenges are not willingly and openly talked about in public. This is changing. It is wonderful to see that this is changing recently. There is a huge effort made to allow space for this kind of discussion. But still, back then, it was something that was an exception rather than the rule. There were people of different ages present at that meeting, from late teens, say, all the way to 60s, 70s. And people were sharing their experiences, people were keen to get information, and I suppose just connect, in this context. Close to the end, I noticed there were two young ladies chatting to each other and sort of laughing. I joined this offline discussion saying, okay, what's funny? And they were telling me that their mum, who was present with us that day, but didn't participate because her understanding of English wasn't the best. But they translated a lot of it, a lot of what was going on to her. She apparently commented that she understands more or less what mindfulness is and what it can do. She understands the different mental health challenges that people might face, like depression, that goes way beyond the momentarily sadness. And what she has been doing, and that must have been a lady in her, say, 70s, what she's been doing to deal with the daily challenges, the anxieties, the low moods, the practical problems in life that all of us face, is she reads, or she has been reading, the Quran. She has been praying and reading the Holy Book to help herself through those lows. And these ladies were laughing. It made me wonder what was behind that laughter. Perhaps they felt awkward translating what their mum said to me, who is a Westerner, and maybe they half expected me to be dismissive of this religious practice in this context, in the context of this discussion that was very heavily rooted in science. And perhaps they also felt that bringing prayer up as part of the discussion we were having just felt out of place. Maybe they saw it as old-fashioned and not science-based. We know now that there is a huge, well, we have known that really, we've sensed us as people for thousands of years, we have sensed that there is a great benefit to us from praying. There is the extremely valuable religious part to praying that is very important to people. That's one kind of side of it. But there is another very important one. The part of prayer, of the whole experience of engaging in religious rituals, that simply makes us feel better. It enriches us. It gives meaning to our lives. It brings us to here and now. And there is science now to show that this is indeed the case. So what we have known is now confirmed by science. So perhaps the discussion of religion that is so important to the people of the United Arab Emirates, maybe bringing that into discussion is very much relevant. So that was really a lovely experience and an interesting, I suppose, angle to it.
Anna, can you tell us what is popular now, or what is growing in the area of mindfulness in the UAE? Are there different courses going on? Are schools being more accepted? Is there a difference between the local and the international school space?
UAE is an amazing place to live. The community here consists of people from every corner of this planet. You, Helen, lived here. I know you used to live here, so you know what I'm talking about. I find myself very lucky to be enriched by this experience on the daily basis. The principles of mindfulness, those of kindness, those of openness, of suspending judgment, become so crucial when you live amongst people who are so extremely different to you.
Let's go a little deeper into how does mindfulness interact with the culture of the UAE?
Located in the Middle East, that is currently ridden by conflict, and I cannot help but put the values of mindfulness in this context. The values of kindness to ourselves and to others, the values of non-judgment, of openness, connection, presence, are really, in this place and time, they are especially crucial.
So, what challenges do you face where you are? Um, I know sometimes it's difficult bringing these programs into school. Have you faced any challenges in the UAE?
The government in starting and keeping up the conversation going about mental health and well-being, and the government has introduced a variety of initiatives that are designed to support people's well-being. For example, Ministry of Happiness has been formed, and this is a body that has been tasked with ensuring that the people of the UAE are well. What this ministry does has touched on a number of different areas. For example, I know that they have teamed up with schools, and this is the bit that I'm a little bit biased here. It's important for me, not only because I work in a school, but also because I have children. And there have been a number of initiatives rolled out throughout schools to support students' well-being and to promote that conversation. There is money being invested in research. There international experts in happiness and well-being are being brought into the UAE to share their knowledge. I attended a lovely talk at the New York University in Abu Dhabi a few years back that was given by amazing international experts on happiness, and it is great to have that knowledge, that existing knowledge brought into this country. There's been a number of government policies that has been introduced again to promote well-being. At the very beginning of the school year this year, there was a law, if you like, introduced that allowed prisoners to accompany their children on their first day of school as part of this initiative. And I thought that was just so lovely. Mindfulness, a number of employees of the Ministry of Happiness, when it was first formed, I believe, were sent to the UK to receive training. Another lovely thing is that I don't know if this is the official name, but a happiness police has been operating in our country, and you, if you're lucky enough, you might be stopped and rewarded, or at least thanked for obeying the road rules. What else comes to mind? The Dubai Expo. So next year, Dubai Expo 2020 is coming up. And I recently heard that the International Positive Education Network has teamed up with the Dubai government to make the UAE a hub for positive education. And I know you have worked in education, so you might know that the Positive Education Network and positive education as a way of teaching promotes mindfulness. So I am hoping that as a result of this involvement of International Positive Education Network with the government of Dubai and Dubai Expo, there will be a lot of spreading of mindfulness going on amongst the population and amongst our students in the UAE, because I know that there will be many opportunities for students in the UAE to get involved with the Expo 2020.
And what are the kind of exciting opportunities and developments that you see in the UAE in this area?
Locally, in Abu Dhabi, the capital of the UAE, a brand new state-of-the-art children's public library has just been opened. And I haven't been there yet, but I hear that it's an absolute paradise for all book lovers. And from the mindfulness perspective, it is a very exciting development too, because there are going to be mindfulness classes held at that library. There'll be yoga classes, and there's going to be an extensive selection of mindfulness books there, including my own, which is very exciting. So to have mindfulness introduced and permeate different aspects of our life as we go about our day, our children learn it at schools, they go to the library, they see it too. This is just wonderful for us to have. We are very spoiled.
What is special about the school communities in the UAE and how it affects teaching mindfulness to them? Maybe you can go a little bit more in depth about that.
Of the population of the UAE is not actually from here. Only about 20% of people who live in the UAE come from the UAE. The rest are expatriates. And because of these large numbers of expatriates, international schools are very popular here. And because I work in the educational system, I have to say that this example comes to me first. IB schools, International Baccalaureate Curriculum, that was originally created for families that move around the world a lot. They're popular here just because of the numbers of people who move around a lot. And the principles that are being taught through this curriculum are very much related to mindfulness. In fact, in this curriculum, mindfulness is being taught explicitly. We teach our students mindfulness practices, and we teach them about the impact and the importance that mindfulness can have in their lives. There are other principles that are taught in the International Baccalaureate curriculum, like being reflective or being open-minded. How important in this day and age is being open-minded, especially in a diverse society like this one, or being caring, or balanced for that matter. You cannot talk about being balanced and not mention mindfulness. You cannot talk about being balanced and not mention mental health. And there are many societies, including this one, where the conversation about mental health is not being heard publicly yet. And as a result of many things, the initiatives taken by the government, and from my perspective, the role that international schools or IB schools have in the way this society operates, we changing that. This conversation is being had more and more openly. Another thing that's being taught and practiced and promoted through the IB curriculum is self-management. And one of the amazing benefits of practicing mindfulness is the ability to self-manage, to manage your own emotions, to manage thinking, to manage behavior. When you think about it in a wider context, self-management are life skills. And international schools teach all those crucial skills.
Thank you so much, Anna, for joining us on the summit and sharing what's happening with us in Dubai and other parts of the UAE. We really appreciate you sharing your knowledge. And for those of you who want to find out more about Anna's talk, we'll have linked to her website and her books in her speaker bio. But thanks again for joining us.